Yeah, there's plenty of there's all the different individual stories. So great to see Jack Boyle making his debut for Leinster coming off the bench. So that's probably when you have young players, academy players, and you see them, watching them in school and clubs and all the rest, and some of the underage teams that they play with, and go on and play for Leinster. That's for the first thing. So it's always nice to see that. Like it's a real privilege to be able to, pick somebody in the team for the very first time. So in terms of performance, I thought there was a great crowd. In terms, we start the game well off the back of there's a good atmosphere there. Harry gets in for a good try at the start. Game, bit disjointed after that. Obviously conditions are definitely tricky to play in. And we don't make life that easy for ourselves a few times. And Dragons are very, very physical. I thought they were very aggressive the way they came at us. And we play ourselves in a bit of trouble. We managed to hold them out, and we get another try, and then obviously Dragons score. And there wasn't that much in between the two teams in the first half, but then we scored those two tries just before half time, which sort of blows out it changed the complexion of the game, really, doesn't it? So you go from whatever it was 14-7 to 26-7 going into half time, and we've played into a pretty strong wind. And the second half is a bit similar, because we start really well, but then we make life quite difficult for ourselves on numerous different occasions. But then we made a lot of changes, guys coming off the bench, and we get a couple of tries late on. So it was sort of two similar halves in many ways. So we're pleased to get a win, a bonus point win. But there's so few games left in the regular season now, isn't it? So for our players to really understand that, the opportunities are so precious now. So the games are unbelievably important for the individuals to make sure that they're involved in knockout games later on, hopefully for them. So it's another win, which is great. And plenty of positives in terms of some of the individual performances and young guys getting games, etc., etc.
So put yourself in a great place. Leinster generally a block of 4 games to go. It's trying to complete winning every game now at this stage.
Yeah, we've had a couple of games here. Our last couple of games have been here at the RDS, and it's been great, the support that we've had. But I'm looking forward to a different challenge now of going away to Edinburgh in a couple of weeks. So for us as a group, making sure that we're very clear and focused and about the challenge and how tough it will be over there, because Edinburgh are very hard to beat there. So making sure that we prepare well over the next couple of weeks, because as I said, there's not that many opportunities left. We want to be in best possible shape. All the individuals want to make sure they give best account of themselves over the next little while, so that they've no excuse around selection come knockout stages later on in the season.
Finally, Rhys Ruddock, man of the match. He put in a great performance generally.
Yeah, Rhys leads the group incredibly well. So it's great. Thought he was battled hard there today. Got in for good tries. So delighted for Rhys.
Leo, 4 players coming straight in from the Irish camp into the starting 15 today. What did you make of their performance, and what did they bring in from the Ireland camp?
Mikey Milne is progressing all the time. I thought Jimmy was looked very strong, didn't he, Jimmy? In terms of breaking tackles, he didn't get on the ball a huge amount in the first half, but in the second half, you saw how dangerous he is. Jordan, really well for his try down the short side, and Jamie Osborne again, very strong early in the game. Probably didn't feature maybe as much as he might have liked in the second half, but lots of positives for those guys coming back in. The attitude is the main thing when those players come back in, so they all had their moments in the game, which is good.
And then you alluded to it a bit there earlier. Dragons were camped on your line quite a bit throughout both halves. Are you particularly proud of the way that your guys defended the line, particularly along those goal line areas?
We talked about it in the lead into the game. So, and it's important that the guys have that bit of fight for each other when they're out there. So, some really good defensive sets. There were probably a few defensive sets where, we get breached a few different times, or we're soaking tackles a few different times. There's still plenty for us to work on. But again, with a lot of young players, it's just that battle of trying to get a bit of cohesion. We talked about Dragons. They're not as affected by international call-ups, so they have plenty of experience throughout their team, so they made life difficult for us.
And then last one for me, in particular, there was the maul defence was exceptional today. At least 4 mauls on your try line that were broken up, either a turnover in the middle of the maul or force a turnover. Otherwise, was that something you targeted? Did you expect that from the Dragons? What were you looking for in that sense?
Well, it's not ideal that you're defending that many sequences of play that close to your line, so you'd always ask the question first, as in, why are we in that situation? Like, why are we're defending on our own try line, or why do the opposition have line hits, as you say, between 5 and 10 metres out from our try line? So but yeah, no, I thought as in the forwards have prepped well over the course of the last couple of weeks. We had a training week last week, as we talked about, a few different players coming back into the mix now this week, so they prepared well for the game. So yeah, no, there was plenty of pleasing aspects.